Hello and welcome to Mr. Wiley Teaches Math. Today we're going to be looking at equations again, but in equations with integer solutions. So we're going to be working through these, and we're going to start with the very beginning again, where we started, and just going to work through and try to isolate the variable. So our goal is always variable equals a number. In this case, it's going to be could be a positive or a negative. So in this case, we have x plus 4 is equal to negative 2. To get rid of this, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So x plus 4 minus 4 is equal to negative 2, subtract 4. X is equal to negative 6. And I could check this by putting negative 6 back in the original. So negative 6 plus 4, that equals negative 2. Okay, that's what's supposed to be on the other side, so that worked out. All right, in this case, we have x subtract 5 is equal to negative 8. Let's add 5 to both sides. So x subtract 5 plus 5 is equal to negative 8 plus 5. X is equal to negative 3. So I could check. I could take the original, and instead of writing x, write negative 3 subtract 5 is equals negative 8. Negative 8 equals negative 8. Hey, they're the same number. It works out. It's good. In this case, we have 7 multiplied by a variable x is equal to 21. So let's divide both sides by 7. 7x divided by 7 is equal to 21 divided by 7. X is equal to 3. Okay, so positive 3. So I could do this again and check my answer. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, works out. And x divided by negative 3 is equal to 4. So this is divided by negative 3. So let's multiply by negative 3. So we're going to write that as negative 3x over negative 3 is equal to 4 multiplied by negative 3. These just cancel out and go to x. X is equal to negative 12. And we could check again. We could write negative 12 instead of the x. Write the 12 in. Negative 12 divided by negative 3. Does that equal 4? Negative 12 divided by 3 is 4. 2 negatives make it a positive. 4 equals 4. Hey, it checks out. This still works when we're working through with 2 steps. Nothing changes. We're just going to have a possible integer solution, negative solution. So 4x subtract 3 is equal to negative 11. So we're undoing the not. We're going to start by adding 3. So 4x minus 3 plus 3 is equal to negative 11 plus 3. So on this side I end up with 4x is equal to negative 11 plus 3 should be negative 8. I have to get rid of the positive divided by 4. So 4x divided by 4 is equal to negative 8 divided by 4. Again, those cancel out, go to 1. X is equal to negative 2. So I could check, write my original question, original equation, but instead of writing my x, write my negative 2. 4 times negative 2, subtract 3. See if it equals negative 11. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, subtract 3. Negative 11 equals negative 11. 2 sides are equal, it balances out. Could keep going with distributive property as well and see if it works out. So we have 3 and then brackets y subtract 2 is equal to negative 18. So I can use my distributive property to distribute the 3 to the terms inside the bracket. So I'll just write distributive property and remember myself what I was doing in this line. So 3 times y is 3y. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. It's equal to negative 18. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. 3y subtract 6 plus 6 is equal to negative 18 plus 6. 3y is equal to negative 12. Get rid of the multiply by 3, dividing by 3. So 3y divided by 3 is negative 12. Divided by 3, y is equal to negative 4. And once again, we can check that by writing the original 3 times negative 4, subtract 2, see if that equals negative 18. So we have 3, negative 6, 3 times negative 6, negative 18 equals negative 18. All right, it checks out because the two numbers are equal. If I ended up with negative 17 equals negative 18, that wouldn't make any sense because they're not equal to each other. So as long as those two numbers are the same, I'm pretty confident. And I can also solve it in more than 2 steps. In this case, I can end up with variables on both sides. Again, I have to start with the distributive property. So 5 times w plus 2 is equal to 3 times, in brackets, w minus 4. let's do distributive property on both sides. So I end up with 5w plus 10 is equal to 3w minus 12. And I look at this and I say this is a larger variable than this one. So I'm going to move all the variables to this side just to avoid having a negative variable. So let's subtract 3w from both sides. So 5w subtract 3w plus 10 is equal to 3w subtract 3w minus 12. So on this side I'm left with 2w's plus 10. Those canceled out, so I'm just left with negative 12 on this side. Now it looks like questions like this solving in 2 steps. So I'm going to subtract 10. 2w plus 10 subtract 10 is equal to negative 12. Subtract 10. I end up with 2w is equal to negative 22. And I simplified, and now I'm going to divide by 2. So 2w divided by 2 is equal to negative 22 divided by 2. Again, those cancel out. Go to 1. W is equal to negative 11. Let's check and see. Because I know I'm done, I have variable equals a number. But let's check 5 times negative 11 plus 2 and see if that actually does equal 3 times negative 11 subtract 4. Alright, so 5 times negative 9 should equal 3 times negative 15. 5 times 9 is 45, a positive negative make it negative 45. 3 times 15 is 45, positive negative works out. So working with equations with integer solutions is no different than what we've been doing before. We work through, isolate the variable, get the variable by itself on one side and the number on the other separated by an equal sign. Be sure to check the class website for additional information and the assignments.